Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Annie Cox, and I'm the director of the Chime Institute Early Education Programs, and I'm here today with two of my colleagues.
My name's Jodie Agnew-Navarro. I'm a special education teacher at Chime.
Hi, my name is Erika Barnathan. I am one of the early childhood special education teachers for Chime.
This is the title of our presentation, Utilizing the Division of Early Childhood's Recommended Family Practices to Support Children's Learning During School Closures. In our presentation today, we'll be sharing the process that we took and the steps that we undertook in developing a program for distance learning in our preschool inclusion program by utilizing the principles of the family recommended practices developed by the Division of Early Childhood under the Council of Exceptional Children. We'll be addressing three major learning outcomes. The first one will review the unique challenges of distance learning for young children, including young children with disabilities. Our second goal will identify strategies that support collaboration with families and encourage family-centered practices. And our third goal today will be to provide examples of activities that provide both family support and child engagement. But first, a little bit about Chime. We have a preschool inclusion program that started out originally as a grant under the U.S. Department of Education on the campus of California State University, Northridge. And that's where we still are today after about 30 years. Our program includes developmentally appropriate interventions and practices and emphasizes natural, social, and communication skills and individualized instructional techniques and approaches, as well as an interdisciplinary team in terms of planning and provision of services within the classroom environment. And we also have welcoming environments for family support. We typically serve, together with the CSUN Child and Family Studies Center, about 70 families in 4 separate classrooms. We have a beautiful backyard full of a variety of activities for children.
Well, the beginning of COVID hit March 13th, 2020. That's when we were given the stay-at-home orders. We happened to be starting our spring break, so we used that time to start putting a virtual program together. We had a lot to take into consideration. We found that there were several challenges when it came to distance learning for preschoolers. We needed to make sure that families had access to technology, especially a device that they can utilize, and Wi-Fi, so their children could fully participate in online classes. Finding ways to engage the children and keeping their attention was of great importance. We needed to be considerate of screen time, as too much is not developmentally appropriate for 3 to 5-year-old children. If the children had no siblings, how are they going to interact with peers? We also wanted to find a balance between the teacher-directed and child-initiated activities to try to find a way to imitate our in-class program. Family obligations such as work schedules, other children, and home life in general, as well as their resources and access to materials, needed to be at the forefront of our minds as we developed a distance learning plan. Lastly, we needed to work with the families to have buy-in to this concept of distance learning and to see how we would be working on their child's IEP goals in an inclusive online setting. These were the important considerations as we faced COVID: social distancing, virtual learning. We considered all this and more.
In recognizing that families would be the key facilitators even more now in their children's learning processes through school closures, we looked even more closely at the DEC recommended practices. They encompass 3 themes. The first one, family-centered practices, stressed the importance of creating respectful partnerships and individualized and flexible implementation of services to young children. The second one, family capacity practices, include the opportunities given to families to strengthen their knowledge and skills and to promote new abilities. And the third one, family and professional collaboration, encompass those practices that build relationships between families and professionals and promote family competencies to support the development of the child. Still in March, we thought it was really important to get the family feedback. What were they doing? What were they thinking through these most unusual circumstances? In addition to reaching out to them individually, we developed a survey with the title, How Can We Help? And ask a variety of questions, including families' preferred methods of communication and access, what other activities might be going on in their lives, what change at that time, possibly, and at that point in time, and what were the family's main concerns. Concerns included a variety of things, as you can imagine, and I'm sure some of you have seen. Some of them around social skills. What were children, especially like Erika said earlier, those children who were only children were gonna be in terms of that social development, missing out on valuable time in learning, some transition issues regarding transitioning from preschool into kindergarten, and the lack of structure and routines that these unusual circumstances brought up to family lives. You see a little bit more in here about, you can hear the family's stress and concern.
All of our lives changed drastically on March 13th. Our children and families went from having predictable school and work schedules to being home. Initially, I think, we all thought it was going to be short term, that we would be back to our lives soon. As Erika said, it was our spring break, so families just kind of extended their vacation and stopped engaging in their regular routines. Parents reported that they were beginning to see an increase in challenging behaviors and sleep issues. Knowing that children learn best when they have predictable, functional routines, like we have in the classroom, was a major consideration when planning our distance learning program. Our philosophy is that children learn best through play, through active exploration and a rich learning environment, and by engaging in interactions with their caregivers and their peers. When planning our distance learning program, we strove to incorporate this philosophy in our activities and to support the families to follow their child's lead, provide a variety of hands-on learning opportunities and experiences, and assist their children to develop play and problem-solving skills.
So again, in reviewing our most important consideration in relation to our partnership with families, it was important to review what family-centered practices really mean. That those practices recognize and respect the family as the expert on the child, the family as the ultimate decision maker, the family as the constant in the child's life. And like I said before, now more than ever, the family's choice in level of participation, considering their priorities and concerns, their cultural belief and values, and the importance of developing a trusting, collaborative relationship between families and professionals so that that capacity building within the family is optimized. What we're going to see in the next number of slides, it's going to be, what does it look like? Some strategies and ideas that we put together. And I have to say, we feel like we have learned a lot since March. We started our new school year last week. So we felt much more prepared this time around to offer a variety of very rich opportunities for children and families. On the left side of each slide, you'll see what the program looked like pre-COVID and on the right side, what it's looking like these days.
Typically, we would have the opportunity to meet the child and family several times before they began our program. The family completes a tour, the child comes in and visits the classroom, and the teachers even do a home visit. This year, of course, our home visits and our meetings with the families have all been virtual. We sent welcome videos and told the children about ourselves, and we also created a social story for new and continuing students, describing how school is supposed to be and how it is different because of the virus. Typically, we gather information about the child and the family from our observations when they do the tour and visit our classroom and when we do the home visits, also through some parent questionnaires. Considering that we have children with significant support needs and we were not able to see the children in person, we developed an All About Me portfolio. The portfolio includes information about the child's likes and dislikes, strengths and needs, communication skills, equipment needs, and strategies that help the child to be successful. We also included a section on parent concerns. This information has been very helpful for us to plan the children's programs. Another big consideration for us in planning our distance learning program was materials. We knew that in order for the children to meet their IEP goals, we all had to have the same materials and the children needed to have their adaptive equipment. As a team, we planned our thematic units and purchased and prepared the materials we needed for each unit. The families that are able to pick up the materials come to our school and pick them up, and we also have been doing some deliveries when that is necessary.
Routines and expectations. As you can see on the left side, this is our daily schedule while teaching in person. We have large and small groups, choice time, music and movement, snack time, outdoor time. We wanted to mimic this schedule as much as possible for our virtual classroom. On the right side, you can see that we have Zoom classes, synchronous, every day at 9:30. We do a morning routine, a song, and read a book during the large group portion of this time. We then use the breakout room option and do small groups. The general education teacher, special education teachers, speech, occupational, and physical therapists facilitate these small group breakout sessions throughout the week. The children are then given asynchronous choice time options that we provide each day. I'll talk about that in the next slide. Another small group opportunity is provided late morning. All the synchronous learning, large and small groups, are inclusive.
As Erika mentioned before, we have synchronous class sessions via Zoom Monday through Friday, and these groups replicate our large group circle time activities that we would be doing in the classroom. We sing good morning, we do the calendar, we sing some songs, felt stories, motor movement activities, read a story, and sing goodbye. Our general ed, special ed teachers, our occupational therapists, physical therapists, and speech and language pathologists coordinate and implement these sessions. As you can imagine, this takes a lot of time and collaboration. We meet weekly to plan together as well as after each session. We do breakout small group sessions during our synchronous daily class session. The therapist, the general ed teacher, and the special ed teachers take turns leading the various groups. We divided the children into groups based on age, developmental level, and interest. The groups also meet once a week together for activities with the teachers via Zoom at a later time in the day.
In order to provide the children with choice time while learning virtually, we provide daily activity choices that include an independent activity, an activity that can be done with minimal assistance, and an activity that requires adult help. We balance out activities that work on social, emotional, physical, language, and cognitive development. We also provided the children with a choice board of activities that they can do using the materials we provided them at the beginning of the school year. All these choices take into consideration IEP goals and objectives.
Just as we embed IEP goals into the daily routines at school, we wanted the families to be able to do this at home during their naturally occurring home routines. As discussed earlier with our survey, this was something that the parents reported being very difficult for them. We provided each student with a Velcro daily routine schedule that the family could individualize to meet their needs. The parents reported a reduction in behaviors and improvement in their child's learning and development when the schedules were implemented. We have high expectations for our students in the classroom. We instill in them a sense of responsibility and development of independent skills. We wanted to ensure that this was carried over to their home program during asynchronous activities. So we developed our Little Helpers chart. The parents frequently send us photos and videos of their children proudly helping out around the home. And the parents have also expressed how surprised they are that their children are not only participating in these activities, but enjoying them.
Motor and movement activities. As you can see from the picture on the left, when we were in person, we had a large yard with many motor opportunities such as climbing structures, slides, swings, ball play, sensory tables, sandbox, and much more. For virtual learning, we provide the children this motor and movement activities choice board as well as some materials, a ball, beanbag, pool noodle, and a yoga mat that they could use at home. Our physical therapist leads a movement activity online once a week. And we also have a very popular dance party every Friday at 11:30.
As you have heard from Erika and Jodie talking a little bit about our team, it includes two early education, special education teachers, a general education teacher, one speech pathologist, an occupational therapist, and a physical therapist working together. It's just an opportunity to think about the children and come up with wonderful plans about the implementation of those IEP goals now at home. I have to say we share an office together typically, and there was a lot of communication that happened, I feel like every minute of the day that when we would come back from the classroom. So we're also duplicating those opportunities with lots of meetings throughout the week, daily conversations by phone or text. So even, the teaming part is taking place every day. For the parent engagement piece, in addition to daily check-ins, what it feels like daily check-ins, I think we're doing a lot of that with some of the families, especially the new families we just started last week. We're also providing weekly parent groups based on a needs assessment in terms of the topics, and a website where we can store all the activities, videos of teachers reading a story, presenting new concepts and activities. It makes it easy for the families to go in, find that Zoom link, for example, for the next activity coming in during that morning. So lots of ideas are put together in one place, and families have found that very helpful.
Play dates. When we are teaching in person, we often recommend play dates for families so that the children can get to know each other and develop a relationship. This became a challenge with stay-at-home orders and social distancing. We began to offer play dates via Zoom. These play dates with 2 to 3 children with and without disabilities are facilitated by the special education teacher and are kept to 15 to 20 minutes. Each playdate is planned out based on the children's interests. For example, we had several children that were excited about trains and vehicles. Prior to the playdate, the families were asked to have their children's trains and railroad tracks ready to use. They were also told what questions the children would be asked so that they could have any communication modifications ready to use. For their Zoom playdate, a very short video with a train song was shown, and then they shared their train cars. The children showed each other their railroad tracks and how they played with the trains. We talked about how many train cars they had, the colors of the train cars, and what noises the trains made. These playdates are a lot of fun for all.
We are always promoting early literacy skills and access to high quality books. We are a registered Little Free Library site, and our children love to borrow and return books, but of course they can't do that now. So we have included books in our materials that the children are getting. And also we've signed up for Epic Books, which is a great online resource for educational books. And with that, we are able to recommend books and assign books to the children, and also collect data on what books they've read and how long they engaged in the reading activity.
This is one of my favorite quotes ever, and coming back to the importance of families and the recognition that families have become such important partners with us during this time. It says, families are big, small, extended, nuclear, multi-generational, with one parent, two parents, and grandparents. We live under one roof or many. A family can be as temporary as a few weeks or as permanent as forever. We become part of a family by birth, adoption, marriage, or from a desire for mutual support. A family is a culture within itself with different values and unique ways of realizing its dreams. Together, families become the source of our rich cultural heritage and spiritual diversity. Our families create neighborhoods, communities, states, and nations. We continue to create or try to create a community with our program. We miss the children and families terribly, but we'll continue to present and maximize their learning. Some resources are here for you. I hope you enjoy our presentation. And I think we're going to be answering some questions. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon.